It is extremely exciting to be here again. We see that the market is very dynamic. We see next to Germany, other markets are emerging. Italy is emerging. The UK is getting more interesting. The US is emerging. So there's much happening all over the world. And that's good news because it used to be a very small and German-focused market. And now this is changing. So this is becoming an international field, and that's exciting. I think this is really the trick at the moment, right? I mean, it's breaking down a complex technology to a level that the end customer is finding it attractive and compelling. And this is also very much what we see at the fair here, that there's a strong driver now to not only have components that are great from a technologic perspective, but have services that an end customer can understand in their value proposition. So I think that's the key focus also for our company, to become better and better and make tailor-made solutions for the end customer instead of just talking about technology. I think what's important for the end customer is that we can utilize their product by connecting it to others, right? I mean, if I'm alone with my energy storage, my PV system, I can utilize it for myself. However, if I make it accessible for others, I can utilize it much more and have a larger benefit. And this is the key concept of the community, to utilize all those decentralized power, but also storage that we have available. And I think this is a trend that will define the success factor in the industry, because the storage unit alone, standing alone, is not much worth. It's very much about the software solutions and the connecting to each other. Just a couple of weeks ago, Germany had for the first time nearly 100% electricity supply from renewables. Yeah? So what is happening now is that the tariff structures, the grid services, storage needs to present solutions that actually work in such an environment. Yeah? And the strong driver is, and that's good, is that we have a very dynamic push factor from the renewable energy sector. We will have much more fluctuating energy in the system, and that will need storage, and that will need intelligent software solutions. So this is a strong driver for us. In the end, feed-in tariffs can only be financing a transition period, right? And now we have been reaching the point in that transition period where we need to grow up and have business models that are sustainable in themselves. And with solar and storage and the intelligence of the community, we are there. This has the potential to become the first non-subsidized business model for renewable energies that is holistic and sustainable. The end customer doesn't care whether it's heat or electricity. They want to talk about energy. So they want to have a solution that is monitoring, managing, and optimizing the entire energy management and supply. So what we want to do is, by integrating heat into the package, including electricity, we want to be holistic to the end customer, because in the end customer will choose the product that is easy to use, has lots of added value, and is including all relevant factors. And this is why heat cannot be left out of the game.
I'm just wondering kind of how you guys see the development of commercial storage, and whether it's in tandem with commercial PV, kind of outside of that US peak shaving market.
There is a huge C&I market in the US, that's for sure. And we now see that also on the European markets, especially in Germany, own consumption becomes more attractive even for smaller commercial clients. But these are not industry clients yet, but more small, medium-sized businesses. Yeah? Because for them it's interesting to hedge themselves against the risk of accelerating energy pricing, but also on fluctuating energy pricing. So we see that there is a commercial segment evolving. It's a bit different in every market, to be honest. Yeah. So if you look at Italy, France, Germany, there are different drivers due to regulation. But the good news, in Europe and in the US, this market is opening up, and we have a commercial system in the US already, and we just brought it also to Europe, and I think that's very exciting. I think in the US we need more freedom for companies like ours to also share and deal with electricity, right? So in states like California, there's a monopoly for utilities. I think what we need is, especially in the US, there needs to be free access to the grid. So anyone who's producing electricity should be allowed to put it into the grid and sell it to whomever they please to. Yeah? So I think this is, for the US, the biggest driver to really unleash the power that's in the market. It's kind of chained at the moment. In the German market, I think the perspective is bright, because the regulators are very keen in order to construct a market environment without subsidies. So they really try to open up the market to allow companies like Sonnen to become a utility in terms of regulation, which is really favorable for us. So in Germany we do see things on the right track. There's always a question of speed and their opinions, but generally right track. In the US it's very important that anyone who's producing electricity must have the right to also share it and distribute it on their own account. Yeah? And I think this should be, in the US market, state by state, something that needs to be done in order to really have a dynamic environment for growth. If you look at a holistic model, the grid needs to be included. If we exclude our solutions from the grid, we must not wonder one day if the grid is excluding our solutions. Yeah? So the grid itself needs to play an important role, and this is why we always looked at grid-optimized solutions. So our storage is actually the only storage that has, by research, been proving to save money for all of us. So basically, we are reducing the need to invest into the grid for everyone who's consuming. And I think this is a very important point. It needs to be holistic. We need to think about the grid. We need to look at the larger picture. If we simply see a customer as an island, there's going to be an issue at some point. It needs to be integrated. So that's a very strong driver from our side as well. These are exciting times. The decarbonization, we see it in automotive, we see it in energy, we see it in heat. It's a huge momentum that we're gaining since Paris. We have seen private equity and investment money going from a couple of billion to over 600 billion in money, because everybody sees that the clean energy sources will define the future of energy. And energy, after all, is the largest market of all. So I think these are exciting times, and we're right there where we want to be, where the action is.
Excellent. Philip, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Cool.